principle number 4 is protein is the hero macronutrient. Now, this one is really important because protein is having its day. And there's a lot of conversation on protein. You've probably heard me even talk about protein a lot here on this channel and on my podcast. But we're back at counting again. We can't keep counting. So the rhetoric that's getting out there is 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight. That's what we should be focused on. But it's hard to sustain that. So I want to just flip that and say protein is the hero. So when you're looking to put food together in combination, and when you're looking at a day's worth of eating, ask yourself, and do I have protein at every meal? This is why I love beef sticks. And my favorite was Paleo Valley beef sticks. I walk around eating that all day. This is why I love eggs, hard-boiled eggs. I've gotten really back into tofu. For those of you that are plant-based, hanging out with Chef Leslie's just gotten me thinking about tofu and tempeh. And I'm bringing back a lot of different sources of protein, knowing it's the hero nutrient. But I'm not counting because I know I'm going to lose focus and I can't sustain the count. So when we come to the protein model, we want to make it front and center. It's like the main actress that we're looking at when we look at a meal. But then we need supporting actresses too, which is why we need things like fiber. So one of the things that I really focus on when I put a meal together, and we're going to talk about how to put a meal together for Eat Like a Girl, is you want to build a meal around protein and then put the supporting actress fiber with her. And if you're doing that at every meal, now you're in sync with your hormones. But again, I've said this over and over again, but it's such a good quote, which is you don't need motivation to stay healthy, you need momentum. And when we start counting all this stuff, we lose motivation over time. I want you every year to get a little more momentum and a little more momentum with making good food choices. So protein is the hero, and then fiber is the supporting actress that needs to be with protein. So for example, I was putting a meal together for myself, and I had a bunch of greens, and I have like some cool greens I'm mixing together. And I was looking at my options for protein in my house, and I found a can in my house of sustainable tuna that we are starting to, I studied heavy metal toxicity for many years. In my clinic, we did tons of heavy metal toxicity. And the minute I learned about mercury and how much mercury is in tuna, then all of a sudden I was like, no more tuna. But then I learned about certain tunas coming from certain waters don't have as high a mercury content, and these tunas have been tested. So now I'm bringing tuna back because tuna has some other nutrients in there that can be really helpful. So I'm always varying my protein sources. So if you are a meat eater, I will look at they have some really cool meats that are like ancestral blends where they put grass-fed beef with some organ meat in there. And it's a great way to get the organ meat in because I don't know about you, but the organ meat's not very tasty for me. So you mix it in with other things. So there's also buffalo meat, and there's different types, there's several different types of poultry. And so the goal with protein is this diversity of it, of bringing in as much different sources because the amino acid profile will be different, but then also making sure that we're putting fiber with it because fiber, as I've taught you all, acts like a net where it slows down the glucose response. Then it feeds the microbiome. It was a really yummy salad, but I put it together through this lens of these things I'm teaching you. And one of them is protein's the hero macronutrient.